Welcome back to Live Wild. On this podcast, we talk a lot about what it actually means to live well in the modern world. Not just to cope, not just to function, but to feel regulated, connected, and at home in our bodies. And one of the things I'm endlessly curious about is this. How do we access deep rest and healing when our nervous systems are constantly switched on? So my guest today works in a way that doesn't start with talking, fixing, or analysing. It starts with frequency, vibration, and the body's own intelligence.
What's beautiful about it is sometimes there's stuff in life, there's micro traumas, there's macro traumas, there's something that somebody could have said to you 20 years ago that has just stuck in your body that you can't shake. The beauty of sound, it knows where to go. So sometimes I've gone into a sound bath where I'm like, I feel great. And then it'll go into my throat and I can feel a movement in my throat where it's really dry and I can feel like, oh my gosh, I feel an emotional release. I don't know where it's coming exactly from while I'm in the sound bath, but that's not what I need to worry about. I just have to go, okay, Audrey, breathe through it, let it go, you're in a safe place. And I might have a little cry. And then by the end of the sound bath, I'm like, oh God, that's so nice. And I'd rather cry in the sound bath than lose my marbles because somebody's forgotten to bring bread with my salad. You know what I mean?
Audrey O'Connor is a master sound healer and master Reiki practitioner. She works with sound baths, therapeutic instruments, and energetic practices to support people in regulating their nervous systems, releasing stored stress and reconnecting with themselves at a cellular level. Today we're going to talk about how sound actually works in the body, what's happening in the brain, the nervous system during a sound bath, how Reiki fits into the practice, and how we can all use sound more intentionally in our everyday lives. Audrey, you are so welcome on the Live Wild podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Hilary. I'm very excited to be here. I'm absolutely buzzing.
It is such a pleasure. And guess what? You are the first guest of 2026 on the Live Wild podcast. So you're very, very welcome.
Oh my gosh, no pressure. Brilliant. Oh, wow.
I'm really, really excited about this conversation. I was lucky enough to be at the Nourish and Flow Festival last year, and you facilitated the most gorgeous sound bath. It was so amazing. It was just the perfect punctuation for the day. And I loved your own personal story. And I mean, I know parts of it because you shared parts of it on the day. But for those listening, I presume, like, you're from Dingle, you're down in Kerry. I presume you didn't graduate school and think, right, I'm going to be a master Reiki and a sound healer, you know? Would presume that didn't happen.
No, not at all. Good point, though. I always think before you do a sound bath, it's kind of interesting because you know the way when you come into a sound bath, you have so much expectation and your mind is a little bit wired because you're thinking, am I going to do this right? So I often find it's nice to kind of just give a backstory beforehand because it can kind of ease you into the experience. And I guess I feel the same things that most people are feeling in a sound bath. You know, just because people are sound healers, it doesn't mean that I've it all figured out or that I'm still figuring it out. And it's so true. I grew up in Kerry and Dingle, which I was very lucky, one of the loveliest part of the country, to be honest. I'm just so blessed to be from there. And well, in fairness, you know, Dingle has got a very mystical energy about it. And, you know, there was always somebody who had a number for somebody you'd go and visit as a healer in Dingle, or, you know, that would be doing a gathering. And I always remember there's a tower in Dingle called Eask Tower, and you can see it from the harbour. You probably know it. And there'd always have been like a solstice gathering or something like that, which I'd have been begging to go to. And I'd have been told you're not going up that hill at night time. But there was always that kind of energy, all right? So I think even if I wasn't looking for it, it was in the air anyway. And you know yourself, there's so much research on teenagers, especially girls, as they grow up. You're into sports and you're into the arts and all these things, and there's such drop-off rate. It's at like 14 and 15. Even myself, I was very musical. I played classical violin since I was tiny. Like I had a quarter violin, a half-size violin. Like I did the whole shebang. And then it's funny, isn't it? When you get to about 14, 15, your prime objective is to hang outside Super Value, you know, and it changes, you know, and hormones kick in, and I don't know, I didn't love school, to be honest. People have such different experience. I didn't really feel I fitted in, that I didn't know where I fitted in, to be honest.
Mm.
So I think if I look back at it, I was in quite a state where I wasn't really feeling a lot of emotion, but I held everything together. And I
Yeah.
was just kind of thinking, I will get a good course in my, look at that list. I'll talk to the career guidance counselor. I'll get a good, stable job and get out of Dingle and move to the city. And that was my main objective. And for me, even since I was small, and I think it's a big thing for a lot of people, like financial security was a big thing for
Yeah.
me.
Mm.
I didn't ever want to feel unstable. And for me, those two were very intertwined. So I wanted a job where I have a stable income, insurance, and an industry that was booming. And I remember I went to, there was a career guidance, well, actually, there was a career guidance counselor. I talk about this quite a lot, actually. And I probably talked about it in Nourish and Flow. There was a career guidance counselor I went to at home, and she said, you could do nursing, you could do teaching, and you could do accounting, but I'd say stick to the teaching, and I was like, is this
Wow.
it?
Mm.
And I was thinking, God, there's not much of a choice here. And then there was a career guidance counselor on radio, Kerry, and he was brilliant, and he was in Tralee, and I went into him, and he said, looking at your numbers here, looking at your results and the things you're interested from talking to you, I think you love building and watching things grow. I think you like an environment where you could work in the office and you like talking to people. I do like talking, as you know yourself. And he said, I think you'd be good as a quantity surveyor.
Wow. Yeah.
And I said, what's that? And he said, it's like you're a financial advisor for the construction industry, but you get to work on site and manage buildings. And I said, well, will it be stable? And he said, the construction industry is booming, Audrey.
Mm.
And there's a potential to move abroad if you want to. And I just said, sign me up. And sure, there was no Google or anything at the time.
Yeah.
So off of my CEO form, put it in. And happy days, off to Dublin with myself.
Wow.
And I think that's the case for so many. I wish there was some kind of element of fourth year, fifth year, sixth year where they actually kind of delved a bit deeper. But then again, at that age, you're just figuring it out, really. And there's nothing I regret about being a quantity surveyor. I don't look back on that and say, oh, that was the worst decision of my life, because everything I learned in that course, all the friends I made, and during that time in my job has led me to being there. And, we talk about it a lot, and you know all about this, and I'm sure your listeners know about, like, living in your dharma, they call it, like living in your purpose is such a loaded word, but like living in line with what you're meant to be doing. And quantity surveying wasn't it, but I realized when I was in it, jeepers, took me a while to figure it out, to be honest, Hilary, but I was like, God, my body is so unhappy. And then I figured out, oh God, that's how I kind of ended up understanding I needed a way to find my alignment, find my purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
you ended up in Canada, right? You ended up in Canada,
yes.
and that was kind of, I suppose, a bit of a catalyst point, from what you were saying in Nourish and Flow, that you ended up in Canada not feeling very well. It redirected you into a healthcare professional who really started asking deeper questions for you, or asking you to ask deeper questions about yourself.
100%. And Hilary, I was so prickly when he asked those questions. Do you know, it's so funny, because when you're in it, you're horrified. How I was so, on the outside, it looked like I had it together. And even myself, I didn't really notice it, to be honest. And I know it's the case with some, because you're just in survival mode. And when I had gone to Canada, my big thing was, well, in fairness now, the construction industry in Ireland was kind of going into the downturn a little bit. But I was like, I want to be that girl that went to Canada and did it so big, and they go, what's Audrey doing? Oh, she's over in Canada now, she's flying it. And, it was all this external validation. And when I got there, then I went into one of the offices where it's always a way, and I always thought, there's always a way, if you're going abroad, you always know somebody that's going to have a job set up for you over there.
Yeah.
There was a man I worked with, a lovely fella, who I worked with in Dublin. He was like, he'd moved over, so he said, you can come into my company and you can have a look around, and that's it. They're crying out for people. And I remember going for a walk around the office, and it was a high-rise office. I was in my schnazzy new suit. I was there. And
You had arrived, Audrey.
oh, this was my moment. and I felt sick in my stomach.
Oh.
And I was just like, oh God, I've asked for the wrong thing and now I'm here and I'm so trapped. And I remember coming home and I just remember thinking, this is Jesus, this wasn't for anybody else, or this wasn't for me. It was just for everybody else.
Oh.
And it's a sickening feeling.
Mm.
And I remember at the same time I started, and I love that your listeners are going to be listening to this now, but I developed a lot of stuff with my bladder, my pelvic floor, constipation. My body was just like, oh God, this is bad. This isn't good. You're in the wrong place. And I decided the best thing to do would be to just ignore my body, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes
Oh yeah. Obviously. Obviously.
because I had things to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I just started getting like stuff with my kidneys. And I know women, it's so common, kidney issues,
Mhm.
recurring bladder infections, and you're like on the antibiotics again, and that discomfort. And I remember I used to go to the doctor, and then he was like, how are you getting on? Like, are you happy here? And I said, I love Canada. Everything's great. I have lovely friends. I was talking about everything else but the real stuff, And he said, what do you do to enjoy yourself? What's your outlet? And I was like, I love my job, actually. BS. And he's like, I said, I love my job. I said, I'm actually just starting out here now in this industry over here. And he said to me, what makes you happy, Audrey? And I just remember just being so upset by that question
Oh.
because I didn't have a bug. I didn't have a clue what made me happy anymore. I was in a state where, if you were meeting a friend for lunch, it felt like it was an appointment. And it was like, oh, Saturday, 1 to 3, have to show up. And then even when I was in presence with my friends, I wasn't really present. I was just kind of adapting to whatever the topic was or the mood was, so I could go home and rest almost. And then I'd be spending my free time looking up holidays and things to do when I was off. And then sure, you'd go on the holiday and you're not even getting a buzz from that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just that it really, when you're not, in the right space where you're supposed to be, it just flattens your whole life, doesn't it? Like, it's a really hard calling.
It really is. So he was like, just start with the baby steps now. Take a breather for a bit. Start moving your body in a slower way. And like, this man didn't know that I was very busy doing box fit, and I was very busy doing like jeepers, everything fast paced under the sun. I had my Fitbit, so I had to get my
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I was the person that like I had to even out the numbers on the Fitbit to round them up in the evening around the living room, And he just remembered asking me, and it just still sticks with me so much. He always asked me, how do I start my day?
Mm.
And because, again, multitasking is like a badge of honor, so he was saying to me, how do you start your day? And I was like, well, if I wanted to start my day properly, and for the past 7 years I've been doing this, I said I get up in the morning, I wake up, I put on my bathrobe, I toddle in, make myself a cup of coffee, bring my coffee back into the bed. And then I said I just blitz through my emails and my messages so that they're not hanging over me before I go into work. And he was just like, God, that's really sad. That's really, it's you're not even winning at life. You're actually double working.
Yeah. You're working before you go into work.
You're working before you go into work. For what? And I was like, oh man. But then when I think about the alternative, maybe that was a lot easier for me to do that than actually sit in the morning and have a cup of tea in bed and look out the window and actually say, how are you doing, Audrey, today? And because that would have been a lot more confronting and that might have made me a bit late for work.
So what was the turning point? I mean, it's great that he asked those questions, but what was the turning point where you went, okay, something's got to give, something's got to change? I mean, I've gone through this whole process myself as well, so I actually really understand it. And I know sometimes they're big, profound turning points, and sometimes they're just little, small inner decisions that you just make the decision to show up for yourself in whatever way that looks like. What did it look like for you? Do you remember?
I remember there was a bit of a dysfunction with my emotion, definitely, and they were very dysregulated.
Hmm.
So even if something, and we talk about like it's talked about like well maybe I don't know how common it is, but often you'll find if your emotions are dysregulated, the big life stuff won't affect you.
Mm.
But Mary not saying goodbye to you after an interaction could be playing on your head for an hour.
Yeah.
Or my shop down the road not having my avocado in stock, but being told that there's a gale force thing coming my way and I have to,
Yeah.
it's that was I was finding the little stuff, the little things were playing in my head that like the second guessing was just not getting to be fun anymore.
Mm.
And the indecisiveness of me having to ask people a second opinion and advice about how I should be living my life or
Yeah.
sending a text message. It's one thing to ask someone you think, are you respect to look over your CV? That's a good thing. I
Mm.
think it's really important. Or you have a mentor to say, like, what is this? But if it's something like, what should I text this person back?
Mm.
This is bats. This is when you can't even trust yourself. And I noticed that I couldn't trust myself and I didn't have a very wide emotional spectrum, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
I couldn't really cry properly, have a good cry about something. And if I was, it'd be in private.
Mm.
But I could go watch Marley and me and bawl my eyes out. So that was interesting to observe. And I noticed, and there were some big things happening in my life at the time where I should have been feeling emotion and I was a bit numb.
Mm.
So I remember going down the movement road, and that was really helping me move my body. And then I was like, oh, there's something deeper in here, and it was at that switch you can't switch off. So
Yeah.
I tried meditation, and I actually went meditate. I studied it and practiced it, and I still find meditation very hard because even though it's silence, it doesn't suit every single brain.
I agree. Yeah. Mm.
For me, if my brain was multitasking and emotionally a bit off center, for me to sit in a room and just turn off everything, doesn't work for me. I
Mm.
needed guidance.
Mm.
And if I roll on about a good few years after Canada, I was still, because it's a slow process, is you're
Mm.
trying trial and error, going to different people. And I found sound healing. I found sound
Mm.
healing through online, which is unusual because I'd been to a sound bath, I would say 15 years ago.
Mm.
And it was a bit out there for me because
Yeah.
sometimes it was very out there, to be honest. Lovely experience, but it was just I wasn't on that page yet, if that
Yeah.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So I could feel the rest, but it didn't resonate with me. But then I remember I found a lady in America called Susie Marco Shefflin, and she had like a 10-minute sound bath online, and I listened to it, and I just remember for once in my life I was like, I almost felt like I was hypnotized. So even
Mm.
though my mind was still working in the background, it still brought me back into my body.
Yeah.
And that was a really nice feeling. And then my brain just started craving that meditation. It was the same one all the time. It wasn't, I was doing a different one every day. And then I started doing it every day. And I was going for dinner with someone I really, really care about. And they said, there's something's changed in you, Odds, and it's a lot. It feels different to be around you. Like it feels lighter. I
Wow.
feel like I feel like I can talk to you differently. And I remember being very emotional because I was like, gosh, it makes you defensive. But I know what they meant.
Yeah.
And I
So
was like,
something
God,
something had shift for you through sound and it was palpable to other people.
yeah. And that's when you're like, God, because you know yourself, Hilary, when people don't learn from you being like, well, do this, but they learn when they see it in something.
Yeah.
And then my friend was like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm meditating with sound every day. I'm doing sound baths every single day for like 10 minutes. And she said, I feel like you're in your emotion a bit more. I feel like you're feeling more. And I was like, God, I am. Because I think my phrase for all my life was, I'm grand, it's grand, could be worse, sure, look it. That's all I did. Whereas I kind of started going, oh, that's not grand, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm not okay. And it's okay to say I'm not okay and go, but I will be okay. I will. I'll just process this emotion, whatever it is. And like you said, if you've been kind of dodging emotions or stonewalling emotions for so long, that can almost feel really overwhelming, like there's a floodgate that needs to open. But actually you can just, how do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite, just tackle it a little bit at a time. Just
That's it.
mm,
And in Irish society, and I don't know, like I'm sure there's people listening from all over the world. I'm sure it's, common. Growing up in most, I would say 90% of households, my grandparents, I wouldn't really have talked about emotion or feeling or
yeah.
and there's age old. I remember going to wakes when I was younger,
Mm.
and there would be someone laid out, and we'd be talking about everything else but the person.
Yeah.
We'd be talking about the sandwiches. The egg sandwiches are great. And it's so
Yeah.
surreal.
Yeah.
And you'd say, "Oh God, she looked very tired, the poor woman," and everybody else, and you wouldn't talk about the feeling of the loss.
Yeah.
And so that I find that interesting. So, when it's not inherently in your blood through your ancestors, sure. Like my grandmother she moved to America, I think, when she was 16,
Yeah. I
and
mean, there's so much.
cool.
Oh.
Yeah, sure.
There's so much grief and loss even with that, having to leave your family at such a tender age. And I feel like it's probably the same, for my parents and their parents. Like they were in survival mode. We're really, really lucky that we're a generation that is having the tools and resources to start stepping out of survival mode and actually start feeling what's going on and actually start pulling our lives into alignment, and living our dharma.
100%.
Mm.
I was talking to a client yesterday, and I thought this was even interesting. We were talking about her family. They had the mother had, like, we'll say 2 or 3 children, and the mother up the road, a neighbor, had lost, not lost is not the right term, but she had lost her life while giving birth, which is really sad. The mother did, and so sad. And then the baby was just dropped down to the other family.
My God.
Just to bring up the baby, and that woman, there wasn't a choice, and this was
Yeah.
so common.
Yeah.
So as you're saying, you're so right. Like it's just survival. And I often will do a sound bath for instead not a hen party, jeepers,
That would be great. That would be an amazing hen party, a sound bath. If I had my time again, I'd do that.
Well, like instead of a baby shower, because baby showers are kind of coming to Ireland now. They're not as big as they are in the States, but she wanted like a celebration of the baby arriving. And I was like, when I was even observing, I was like, God, we are moving the needle a little bit, and it's so good that
so
she
nice.
was able to like feel that love, which I don't think the generations before us ever received, which is hard.
It's hard. It's tough, and it's tough to accept. I suppose I loved listening to you talking about the science of it as well. And when we strip away like the spiritual language for a moment, what is actually happening in the body during a sound bath? Because I've experienced this so much, but sometimes even I find it hard to put into words.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and thank you for asking that, because my background is a science background, so I kind of have to know why something works, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like with acupuncture, I get it because I can physically see that little pin going in and I know what it's doing.
Yeah.
And the same with sound. It's based on somatics, which is basically how you can visualize the effect of a vibration and sound on an element. So with sound, if you can visualize, you have a sound wave that's being emitted from my bowl. So it's a frequency is a wave. It's basically the measurement. So I'll have different bowls, and I use crystal alchemy bowls. So they're those lovely. They're clear, but they have different elements to them. They're infused with different crystals, and different sound healers have Tibetan bowls. The same rules will apply. So I'm playing my bowl. I've set my intention beforehand. So I work at Reiki. I'll set my intention beforehand, and then I'll play my bowl. And as I'm playing the bowl, it'll emit these sound waves, this frequency. So it could be 432 hertz, or it could be 528 hertz. And each hertz, which is the measurement of sound, will match a frequency of the heart. So the heart is 530 or 28. So that's what I might be playing. Okay, so I'm playing my bowl. It's tuned to that frequency. So Hillary's lying down. She's like hands out, open to receive. The sound waves, they have to move through either water, air, but they're moving through your body. So it's
Yeah.
entering your body so they can physically move. And that's what somatic's all about. So it's moving into the body. And what happens is when your sound waves move into the body, they're going into the cells. And on a cellular level, they're changing the molecular structure of your cells because the waves are creating that. And you can see it. If anybody ever Googles somatics, BNC, you will see videos of this with sand and people playing music. You will see it on water, people playing music. Yes,
Yeah.
the same as in our bodies. Because if you think about it, our bodies are 60% water.
So it's
So
almost like visually you could represent like a ripple if you threw something into the water, like a ripple effect out. It's
that's
like visual representation of it.
exactly the same. It's exactly because we are full of water and it is literally, so you can physically see it outside of the body on the molecular structure of water. That's what's happening in our bodies. So for me and you and every other person receiving a sound bath, it almost feels like you're getting a deep tissue massage. You can feel the energy moving and you get tingles and shivers and you go from hot to cold.
Yeah.
And what's beautiful about it is sometimes there's stuff in life, there's micro traumas, there's macro traumas, there's something that somebody could have said to you 20 years ago that has just stuck in your body that you can't shake, or there's things, there's life, and sometimes you don't need to have the full explanation because you know well why that's there.
Yeah.
You don't need the explanation, you just need to move the energy. And that's the
Yeah.
beauty of sound. It knows where to go. So sometimes I've gone into a sound bath where I'm like, I feel great. And then it'll go into my throat and I can feel a movement in my throat where it's really dry. And I can feel like, oh my gosh, I feel an emotional release. I don't know where it's coming exactly from while I'm in the sound bath, but that's not what I need to worry about. I just have to go, okay, Audrey, breathe through it. Let it go. You're in a safe place. And I might have a little cry.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the sound bath, I'm like, oh God, that's so nice. And I'd rather cry in the sound bath than lose my marbles because somebody's forgotten to bring bread with my salad. You know what I mean? Do you know?
It's so true. It's so true. If you're carrying all these little micro traumas that you're talking about, and then they get triggered because, like you said, someone brings you like bread with your salad or Coke instead of a Diet Coke or whatever it is. It
Yeah,
cry. I'm all for the crying. Yeah.
yeah.
It's so remarkable. The sound baths are I find them so bizarre. I think sound healing really is part of our future medical system. I really do. I think it's remarkable. I mean, I had an experience in your sound bath, and you had was it the wave drum, the little thing that
Yeah,
you
it's a little ocean drum. Yes.
ocean drum. Thank you. I found that very challenging. Like some people were like, "Oh my God, I was drifting off to sleep during that," and I found it really challenging because I had an experience when I was really, really young in the sea that was very frightening.
Hmm.
Kind of forgotten about it until in your sound bath and the ocean drum came up and it really brought it up for me. So and I was able to sit with it and be with it and hopefully it's gone now.
Yeah.
But it was just so remarkable. I just didn't expect it at all.
Yes, I love the drum. And that's it. It can bring up something like that. Or sometimes, if somebody's in a contraction, so say if I was now to be, I don't love underground car parks, that's not my location of choice in an evening. So naturally when I'm in an underground car park, I'm a little bit, my energy's a bit tight, I'm a bit like
Mm.
looking around me. So if somebody came up and behind me and said boo, I would lose my marbles. So if sometimes as well, I notice in the sound, but there's people who are in a tightness and the drum comes up, it can
Mm.
almost have that feeling. But as you were saying, you kind of trust yourself when you're in it. You're like, okay, this is happening.
Mm.
I'm going to sit with it. And that's kind of the work that you can sit with that and
That's
trust.
it.
Yeah, when I'm using the drum, I'm using Reiki as well. So when I'm going around the body, I'll just like channeling Reiki, and then I'm feeding in the body. Where does it need to go on the drum? Often I'll be holding it, but almost like it'll be moving itself, if that makes sense,
Wow.
which is pretty lovely.
So when you talk about Reiki as well, I'm so interested in this because everybody has heard the word Reiki. A lot of people would know what it is, and even a lot of my listeners would know what it is. How would you describe Reiki? And like you were just talking about there, how do you mix it with the sound?
Okay, that's a really good question. Reiki is beautiful. It's look, I've did different types of I qualified in different types of Reiki over the years. And I settled with, because I love it. It's called the Holy Fire Reiki. Now this is not religious, it's just called the Holy Fire. That's where
Mm.
the name comes from. It's a violet energy. Reiki is this thing called life force energy, they call it. But what I like to kind of break it down is it's like you're sending love and light to the body
Mm.
without telling the body where to go. So often, because often people come to me in a sound bath and they'll say, "Oh my God, I'm really stressed about my this job, and I want to release the stress." And I'm like, lads, I can't. You can't control what's going to happen here. The Reiki will know where to go, and they'll come in for one thing, and then they'll come back and go, "Geez, I actually felt a lot of compassion for myself at the end of that session, and I actually was like, God, I've come so far." And I had this realization. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't actually think, you thought you knew
Force
what
it.
you needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Reiki has this magic of doing that. So for me, when I'm in, I would like say today now, before I came into our call, I did Reiki for 10 minutes because, I was really excited, to be honest, to be on your podcast. I think you're fab. But
Oh,
I was sitting
likewise.
down and I just did a 10 minutes of Reiki. So what I did is I channeled energy just to bring ease to the call, love and light, that it would be well, technically it would be good that our words would land,
Mm.
and just called in that energy of just flow. And that's what Reiki can do, just bring a lightness and ease to whatever you're doing, and you bring it into the body, it'll just amplify it. So often, sometimes, you'll even notice when people have had Reiki done, there's like a little glow to them. Like, do you remember when you finish your sound bath,
Yeah.
your eyes, like the white of your eye was bright, you know?
Yeah.
It's that feeling. And it's almost like you come out of a sound bath or a Reiki experience, which is infused with Reiki, and I'll explain that in a second. But you're like, jeepers, those flowers are lovely. It's so bright.
Yes.
And you look at things differently. It's like it just wakes the body up a little bit to appreciate what's around you.
Mm.
So with a sound bath, what I will do is, I use Reiki symbol as a master. We use symbols, and in Reiki too use symbols. So I will be doing the sound bath. I will bring everybody into a visualization, and then when they're in the visualization and they're in that kind of very delta brainwave state where they're zonked out,
Mm.
then I'll send Reiki, and I'll just be saying the Reiki words. And I can feel this light leave it. So it's not physically my body going, "I heal you, Hillary," but instead it's literally this Reiki that I'm channeling from above.
Mm.
It's a universal energy. It's coming through me, and then it's coming to you, which is
Beautiful.
lovely. Because when you're working with the universe, it's amazing. And people call it universe, God, whatever word.
Mm.
It's because there's connotations with God as well. There's people find universe very far out. Whatever word resonates, and that's what we're doing. Because you can work with that energy.
I love that. And I suppose when you started as well and you had your first sound bath, you said that you were kind of skeptical about it. Do you find that you still meet people that are skeptical about the work and skeptical? And how do you, I suppose the question is, how do you, without diluting it, make it inclusive to encourage people to come to a sound bath or come to a Reiki session?
Yes, it's interesting. Do you know what's funny, Hillary? You'll often find with the sound bath, somebody will do it, and then they'll be like, "Do you know who needs this now? Is my Aunt Breda." And then poor Aunt Breda gets dragged into the sound bath. And she's like, "What am I doing here?" And really, it's the person themselves that actually needs it the most. But for some reason, the brain diverts it away. It's like, when you go to therapy and you're like, "Cheapers, do you know who'd need this now?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
and because it's easier almost, and often people are being kind as well, and they've benefited from it. So often you might have somebody like that who's just been like dragged into this, and their cousin's like, "Don't even look at the description, just come," and then they're like, "What is this?" Or you might have someone that will do a kind of a protective thing, which is quite common, where they'll tell you all the things they've done already, and they'll be like, "I've gone to Reiki before, I've gone to this doctor," and I'm like, "Oh, that's lovely," and I understand what they're doing because they're just trying to protect themselves.
Yeah.
But for me, because I was so resistant to it when I joined it the
Mm,
first time, and because I feel like I have to know everything before I do something. Do you
mm,
know? I think it's good that I came from that place. So whenever I meet someone like that and they come in and they're like kind of a bit anxious, which could be normal,
yeah.
um, I'll bring them over to where they need to sit. If it's a group especially, make them cozy, grab a little blanket, get a little eye pillow for them, and just say to them, please allow yourself to just release all that expectation.
Yeah.
Everybody in the room is in the same boat. We're all the same. And if you find that your mind is busy, it, and you're distracted for a bit of the time, it doesn't matter because you're still lying here and you're still receiving what we were just talking about, that energy moving into your body.
Mm,
And if you can give yourself that grace, then that's amazing. And just not think of the outcome. And the more you can just have your intention of why you're here, you're creating space to yourself, well, that's enough. And generally that's enough to give someone
yeah.
a little bit of peace. Because we put so much expectation on things and everything, I was even talking to somebody online yesterday and she was like, oh my God, my reels aren't going viral, and I was like,
Mm,
is that the intention of you making that content?
mm,
Because if
mhm.
the outcome of your creation is to go viral, then you've missed the whole point of enjoying creation. Do you know?
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
if you're the beauty of what you do, like when you're acting or you're writing, it's that element. I was listening to Jessie Buckley, who every woman and man in Kerry is talking about at the
I
moment.
mean, she is the pride of the parish of Ireland. She's
Oh my
fantastic.
God. We
She's
had the young scientist
wonderful.
and we had Jessie Buckley from Kerry in one week. Um, she was doing an interview this week. She's all over my algorithm.
Mm,
And somebody was like, oh, what is it that's inspiring you at the moment? What are you? And, it's not like she's out there going, oh, I'm reading loads of books. And you can relate to this because it's obviously your craft.
mm,
She's not going, I'm reading books about posture of an actor or I'm reading books on actors' language. She was like, I'm reading all these books about like poetry and love and grief. And I was like, yeah. And then she named all these artists. And I was like, that's it, isn't it? You're not thinking about the result all the time, but just like for you, like when you're going into like a role,
mm.
do you have that kind of process?
Yeah, I mean it's similar. You just have to immerse yourself in what would the character be doing, where living as them a little bit without getting too technical or without detaching from your own life. I find that too disruptive. But yeah, it's like trying to immerse yourself in the themes of that character. So when Jesse's probably talking about Hamlet and then reading books about love or poetry or grief or whatever, I mean, that's so all encompassing. And you can take little snippets of all of those little things and not even consciously infuse them into a performance, but they're just there. They're just there in the background as you're performing. That's all it takes. It's not like, I'm going to use that bit. I'm going to chop it up and I'm going to do it this way. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just there. It's just because it's in your brain. It's in your body.
Yeah.
Mm.
As opposed to Jessie Buckley saying, I'm going to manifest I'll win a Grammy and wear a Dior dress. And that's your Dior dress. And that's where we're kind of taught to believe, isn't it? You're
Yeah.
like that Jim Carrey, signed the $1 million check and there he was. Jim Carrey was going to loads of auditions and he
Yeah.
was embodying what it was to become an actor. And he was talked about like how he, you know, changed the way he moved and how he expressed himself. And if you're going to come into a sound bath and you're nervous, you might just get a takeaway of, okay, Audrey was talking about her morning routine. That could be enough of a takeaway for you to just go,
Yeah.
maybe I don't need to check my phone first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's it. I always say with all of these sessions, I love to facilitate sessions as well as receive them. And it's one thing. If they take two, amazing, but one. And that one thing will be different for everybody. And that's what's so gorgeous.
100%. Because we think that everybody can take in, and we can't. Our minds are so busy. But a lot of the time, I'll just take away something and go, okay, that's really beautiful. Or
Mm.
sometimes people can say the same thing, but it just lands differently.
Yeah, exactly. So you mentioned as well a while ago about the brain waves. I love this. I'm fascinated by this. So what are the different brainwave states that we find ourselves in? And when you're asking people to go into this relaxed brainwave state, which ones are there? Because what are they? They are theta, delta.
Yeah. So with the brainwave states, the lower the number, if that makes sense, like the frequency, like
Mm.
0 to 5, 5 to 10, the slower your brainwaves are going, which is kind of what you want, that frequency.
Mm.
So when I'm in a sound bath, when I'm not in it, I'm hosting it, obviously. I'm not like it's sitting in there in the middle of it. To get someone into the alpha state and the beta state, they're the first kind of two we
Okay.
talk about.
Hmm.
They're the ones that, like, alpha, you'll be doing your day-to-day tasks on that. You'll be
Yeah.
getting up, you're driving your car. Then you're in the beta, which can be of two. It can be day to day, but it also can be slowly getting into your meditative state. It can be one or the other. Now your brainwave's slowing down a little bit more till you're in the theta, which
Mm.
is REM sleep. It's
Oh.
when you're in deep meditation. And then delta is when people say to me in a sound bath, Audrey, were you over my head with a bowl? And I'm like, no, I wasn't. That's when they've gone to that place,
Wow.
where
Yeah.
the colors, the shapes, they might have seen their grandmother
Yeah.
visions. So what I will do is, because my brain is very busy,
Mm.
very always has been, so I try to work with that as opposed to like just make it a thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the majority of people, I think, are similar. So when you're in the sound bath and I'm playing the bowls, I kind of do step by step. First of all, I'm having the chat and talking to everybody, which kind of is just like a nice way to open it, because you're just like listening and yapping and you're not thinking about what's Audrey going to do to me in a second, what demons are going to come out in the sound bath, what ex-husband or wife or cousin is going to come out here. So you're kind of like, okay. And then we'll go into a body scan, where we'll go from every body. So that brings you into your body, because that's all we want, is to be out of the brain into the body, and it works for me. And I'm like, oh, I'm in my left shoulder, I'm in my left fingertips, I'm in my stomach, oh, my gut instinct, oh, I forgot about my gut instinct, my intuition, cheapers, I forgot about my waters, my grandmother talked about my waters, now I'm back in here, that's it. And then you're out of the mind a little bit more, and then you're into the body, you can feel the heat, and then I'll bring in the Reiki, and the next thing you know, you're in the theta or the delta brainwave state. So it's beautiful when you're in the delta brainwave state, because you're not thinking. Your body is resting, but it's conscious, but you're in your subconscious mind, that dream state. And
Mm.
that's where creativity lies. That's where you're really getting in touch with who you are from when you were tiny. A lot of inner child work comes into this. And
Yes.
and you might find, well, most of the people, to be honest, when I finish a sound bath, I don't have to clap my hands and go, everybody, cueness, get up, it's the tiniest little chime, and
Mm.
everybody's awake because they're in that delta state.
And you feel
Delta,
very refreshed as well, don't you, when you come out of that delta state? It's like power napping almost.
it's like the most. They say that it's equal to 4 hours sleep. An hour of
Whoa.
that is at 4 hours sleep, because you finally switch the brain off.
Mm.
Because for most people's brains, it's just keeping you safe. So if you're in a sound bath at the start, the brain is like, oh, I don't want to think about my feelings, or I don't want to be in my body, because it doesn't feel safe for a lot of people.
Mm.
So your brain will be like, did you leave that pork chop in the freezer? Could I defrost it? Would it be ready by tonight? It'll be thinking about everything. It
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like, I remember thinking one time, like, I'm married 5 years maybe, and I was thinking, did I send her a thank you card ever? Do you know, just
Yeah.
brain will find a thought from years, anything. So what happens is, when you're in the delta state, God, it's so nice that your brain isn't thinking and it's
Mm.
floating. And you'll come out of a sound bath, and when you've had that clarity and that space, you can really think about the things that matter. And what I'll generally close a sound bath with, and I might have done it in Nourishment Flow, I can't remember, I will say, if somebody came into your head during the sound bath that you could know or that you don't know that well, so it could be like your barista that gives you your coffee in the morning, but maybe in the sound bath, somebody came into your head that, God, makes your life really easy and helps you, that I'll often say, maybe send them a text message and just say you appreciate them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it almost sends that wave of abundance and gratitude out to the world. So it kind of carries through, because, God, there's nothing nicer than when you're at home and the way somebody will message you and go, oh, hi, I was talking to Breda, and we were thinking about you and I hope you're doing great. And they don't want anything in return.
Yes. Lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll bring that about. And it's really nice. So, because I've had sound baths where I've thought about someone and gone, jeepers, they're really, I never tell them how much I appreciate them. This is what life's all about, isn't it?
Mm, mm.
We live with so much guilt, I guess, for not telling people how much we love them, but instead people are proactive and just, yeah.
Yeah, connect. A connection as well, I think, is really interesting with sound baths as well. I think if people, you might go in feeling quite solitary, but by the end, you've had this group communal experience, and everyone's experience might be slightly different within it, but it's like there's a kind of an overarching energy that goes with every particular sound bath.
Yes. And do you notice yourself, the day we did Nourish and Flow, when everybody came in, everybody was yapping and getting their mats and getting their bits and knocking water bottles, which is very common.
Yeah.
There's always, and I've been that person, I've knocked a bottle or two in my time as well. But by the end of it, everybody's awareness is quite different. Do you remember you came up, but you didn't come up to me straight away. You took your time, and then there was somebody else talking to me, and people were kind of roaming around. There was no interrupting, or it was just very,
It's very settled. Yeah.
and when everybody was talking, when I was talking to you, it was like our words were like flowing. It's
Mm.
like you can speak so freely. Well, you do this work, and this is your environment that you thrive in. But even other people, they were able to speak very clearly about what they were saying they felt, and to talk about something like God. I was thinking about people were talking about their mothers, and because it was a women's group, and to be able to have a conversation like that and go, I was thinking about my mom, and my mom, I'm lucky, I'm blessed, my mom's alive, but people are saying to me, my mom has been passed a couple of years, and I really miss her, and without having an energy that was erratic or
Yes.
unstable,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to hold space for themselves. And I remember one lady was like, I'm going to actually go back to my tent for a bit and just write a bit about it.
Oh,
Maybe
how
I'll write her a
lovely.
letter. Do you know?
So gorgeous. What do you think is the difference then between what somebody would experience at a sound bath online or in person? Because I know like a lot of practitioners will do it online, and I'm sure you do as well. I'm dying to tune into one of them. Do you see that there's a difference between the two practices of one online and one in person?
Yeah, I started online, which is like
Oh,
gas. So when I did the one I was with, but I was rejecting the first time in person. And then when I found that one online, I was doing it for 10 minutes a day. And that became my morning ritual. Actually, it's still my morning ritual. I have it down now at this stage. It's like, it's just my morning. It's just straight into it. But I remember it was online. I'm somebody that likes to have my bits. Like even today, I have my candle. I have my Palo Santo. I have all
gorgeous.
my things around me. So I love the idea of sticking on my headphones. I love headphones anyway, to be honest. Like if I was in Tesco's, I'd have my headphones on, and I have my space and my quiet zone, and it means I can stick to my routine. Because I like to do something every day and have that cumulative effect. So I would have started with online, and then when I trained in the States, but there was trainings during lockdown, that I did. I trained in California, but there was trainings that I had to do over lockdown that were online, and that's when I really learned about recording and about doing podcasting, how to be able to get the right equipment to hear the sounds. So I have recording equipment that can literally pick up the frequencies that I need,
Oh,
so people can
perfect.
feel it in their bodies, because a lot of people are busy, a lot of people have young kids. It's actually funny, sometimes you see women doing online sound baths, and they're just about to sit down, and that somebody's walked in the door with the baby and gone, can I have you for 2 seconds? And I'm like, close that door, just don't
Yeah,
do
yeah, 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 exactly. Step away.
it. Step away. So I find that they're very two different experiences. You get the same effects. It's nice for some people just to get in the car, get out of their house,
Yeah, yeah.
and do that. Then it's also nice, like I have one on Monday night now for the new moon, and people will do it in bed.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Headphones on. People are fancy. They have like cute PJs on, bathrobe. There's a dog at their feet. It's lovely, and I'll often say to them, just leave a little tie or something on the door. If you live with people, that tells them, please leave me alone.
yeah.
I am healing. And they will drift off to sleep afterwards.
Oh my God, I
So
love it. Yeah.
because when I'm going offline, there's usually a few screens that are just black, and I know that I'm like, oh, they're gone to sleep now.
Oh,
Because I feel like these rituals don't have to be hard, and especially with New Year's, we're just always being marketed so much things when you can just do it at home, just quietly.
Yeah.
And
And
yeah.
make it easy on yourself. What do you think is the biggest misunderstanding people might have about sound healing?
Biggest misunderstanding about sound. People know that it's science. I feel like they because they've seen, and thankfully for social media, there's so. Well, I mean, maybe it's just my algorithm, but there's a lot of videos showing you, this is how sound works.
Mm.
And on a lighter note, the Housewives series on Bravo, the Housewives of Beverly Hills,
Yeah.
and the Salt Lake City wives who are amazing, they go on sound baths all the time. So they are bringing into the mainstream, so I'm delighted. But I think the word healing is a hard one.
Yes.
It's very
Okay.
loaded.
Hmm.
And healing has like about three different meanings. It can mean to support, to help, whereas the word healing means that, oh, there's a problem or there's something wrong with me when there isn't.
Mm.
Um, and sometimes it's when people come in and they're like, I just said I'd treat myself to this today. When you can come when you're good and when you're not good. So I think
Mm.
healing is a hard one. The word sound bath, people are like,
Yeah. Are we getting into a bath?
into a bath,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, what is that about?
Yeah. That's actually a very fair
Yeah,
point.
they're like, okay. And I think they imagine me to come out like, you know, they've seen so many images of it, so whereas at the end of the day, there's different types of sound healers,
Mm.
I'm, and I even know that you're trying to, it's a lot harder to squeeze yourself into the idea that a sound healer looks a certain way.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't. I just look like myself. Like I look like myself in the day. So I'm not like, so people think that maybe I'm going to look really woo woo or out there, when
Yeah.
it's not. And anything new is always really hard as well for people to just sound healing, to tell people I'm going to a sound bath. It's like saying you're going to, it's hard. But once you kind of experience it, then you're like, oh,
And that's why I love what you do as well, because you back it up with science. And I think once people can actually, like, I'm easy. If anyone says, "Oh, there's a new healing modality," I'm like, "What is it? I'm on it. I'll try it." But I know that it's challenging for others. So I think when you've got the nice mix of, like, you back it up with science and people can grasp onto something then and go, "Oh, okay, this is actually why this works. It's not just, is it working?" Because for a lot of people, like you said, you were at the very start, it's hard to trust yourself. It's hard to go, "Okay, I'm feeling something in the body, but maybe it's just gas. I don't know." You
yeah.
know?
That's it. And with guys especially, they're so afraid they're going
Yeah.
to snore or something.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
like, oh, and so many people say to me, I'm nervous about what's going to come out.
And
And I'm like,
actually, here's another question. Sorry to interrupt you. Here's another
no.
question. Is there any incidents where sound healing isn't appropriate for somebody? Like, would it be, I won't say dangerous, but yeah, maybe dangerous for somebody to go if they had some kind of condition or something into a sound bath?
Yeah, tinnitus isn't great now.
Oh
Um,
God. Oh God, I've
yeah,
really bad tinnitus and I've been doing sound baths for
yeah, some forms of tinnitus is not advised, but I've had so many people that have tinnitus. Like I feel like as you get older, it's 30s, 40s, a lot more people having it. And I've had loads of sound baths where it's been fine, but I'll always just say to people, people with a hearing aid, just adjust it
Mm.
beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then just God, if I was. I just see how I am in a group. It's sometimes
Mm.
more like that.
Mm.
Um, I have a friend now who doesn't love a group situation. She feels quite claustrophobic in a group, and I'm like, well, maybe do one on your own then, or do it online.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of that they're the main ones, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, because often it's funny, Hillary. Sometimes people will lie down in a sound bath, and I'll say, just lie down or do what you like there, to a certain extent. And then they'll say afterwards, oh, my back was a bit tired, and I really wish I could move around a bit. And I would be like, oh, sure, you could have just laid over on your side.
Mm.
And they were like, oh, I didn't want to be disturbing anyone. And I'm like, oh, that makes me so sad because you're like,
Yeah.
yeah, the permission slip to
Be comfortable. Yeah.
be comfortable,
Yeah.
because you're trying to make everybody else comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when you look at the bigger thing like that, then you're like, well, how often are you making everybody else comfortable for your own discomfort?
Yes. There's a massive lesson in that. It's so true. And I find myself thinking about that in a sound bath as well. I might, no, I'm not going to stretch out here now just in case. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay to take up space. It's okay, to be comfortable. As long as you're not throwing your arms over somebody, your next door neighbor.
Yeah. So I really think and I have a lot of older people. The age range goes because you'll have a lot of younger people and then a lot of people going through they call their Saturn return, which is when you're around 29. It's a
Mm-hmm.
big age for
Mm.
because you're kind of really kind of questioning your path and change is happening. So you'll often have that a lot of age groups quite big quite big, and then I'll have a lot of women whose children are kind of growing up and they finally have the spaciousness to kind of say, what do I want?
Yeah,
Have
nice.
the availability of time and that's where that's a lovely group.
Yeah, gorgeous.
Because you're kind of remembering what lights you up. You're also noticing how your group is changing. Maybe you might have had to hang out with certain groups at the time to support you, but now you're like, you know what, I want to branch out a little bit, and you're really curious. That's a nice age. And there's another Saturn return at that age as well.
Mm.
And then it goes to the oldest generation where maybe you're in rural areas. I've seen Dingle as well. You'd be not going to mass as much maybe anymore
Yes.
and you just want that outlet.
Yeah, that community. Yeah.
Yeah, because cheapers, and it's mad, isn't it? Like the older generation are so dismissed, I feel sometimes, and they store so much wisdom.
Yes.
And I could have an older person, like I'm talking like quite old. I won't say an age here just in case,
Yeah.
but I could do a sound, and then afterwards they could tell me the most profound experience they had, like
Wow.
70 years ago when they were teenagers and something happened. You're like, wow, where
It's
because
amazing.
Ireland, we are a land of pishogues and everything,
Mm.
but we are very connected to the land.
100%. 100%. So, for the listeners today, Audrey, what would be the one thing that you could give them to take away for themselves? Maybe is there some kind of sound practice they can cultivate within themselves, or yeah, what's a little nugget for them to take with them today after listening to this?
I would say listen to your podcast all the time. I would also say the thing for me the thing is, it's like you have to standardize your habits before you like strategize or you optimize them. Like you have to just keep the standard simple,
Mm,
and then you create those little building blocks. So for most people, we kind of go like, I have to do all of this at once. I used to be like that a lot.
mm,
Whereas I'm just like, your morning is everything. Your morning sets a tone for your entire day. So
right.
if you're gonna, it's like you have to ask yourself, how much do I want it? Like, how much do I want peace in my life? How much
Mm,
do I want? Like, I'll ask people all the time, what are you manifesting or what are you calling in? They're like, I'm calling in a promotion. I'm calling in this chemistry with my husband. I'm calling in this. And I'm like, when did we forget just to call in? Like, I want a bit more energy. I
yeah.
want to wake up not feeling that I have my heart beating in my body because I'm anxious about what's going to happen today and it hasn't even happened yet. Like,
Mm,
start with the basics. And it's a natural instinct, especially if you're a parent, to be thinking about your children first thing and
mm,
prioritizing them. It's just so your needs go on the back burner so much. And
mm.
another care, so many people that are listening, I'm sure, are caring for parents.
Yes,
Or,
absolutely.
and,
Mm,
and that's such a big heaviness to be carrying. And, you have to make time for yourself. So for me, I would say to everybody listening, if you get up at 7 o'clock, your alarm's going off at 10 to 7. You get up at 9, it's 10 to 9. It's a non-negotiable. And, there's all these hacks like bring a special alarm clock in and don't have your phone in your room. I don't even need to buy an alarm clock. I just see my phone goes off. Alarm, grand. I go downstairs. I have
mm,
upstairs, downstairs. If you're downstairs, just touch your feet on the ground. Put your
mm,
feet on the ground, take a breath in, and just go, jeepers. I slept through the night. I'm alive. This is amazing.
mm,
Go downstairs, open the curtain.
mm.
Do that. Then I have a 10-minute free sound bath on my Instagram. It's 10 minutes. It's right at the
Oh,
top. It's pinned. It's a sound bath for sleep. If you scroll down, I'll actually pin it today, so I have it there. I have a sound bath for every day for the morning.
Oh my God, do pin it and we will share it in the show notes of the podcast as well so people can find it. So that's amazing. So you have this free sound bath that people can go to on Instagram and just for morning or night.
Morning or night, it's 10 minutes. I'll pin it now because it's not there. I'll literally do it when I finish. And it's 432 hertz, which is a frequency of nature. So what I'm trying to do in that is just get people to feel like, oh my, yeah, we talk about gratitude all the time. We're like, I'm grateful for my house and I'm very grateful for my cats in fairness, but I'm grateful for my cat. Gratitude is a bit more than that. Gratitude is a deep emotion in your body where, if you're with your kids, Hilary, and they're pottering away doing something and you just look at them in their element doing something and it's that feeling of, God, I'm doing a good job here. Yeah. And they're happy. Yeah. And you're like, that's gratitude. You can feel it and you can see your expression in your face. So for me, that sound bath tunes me into gratitude. And I go, God, yeah, a load of stuff might be happening. There might be a lot going on in my life in that day, but at least I am breathing and I'm grateful. And I can go into my day going, this could be the day that changes my life. This could be a day where like when I woke up the other day and you texted me, I could not have predicted that.
Yeah, lovely.
You never know what the day is going to bring. And at least if you can tap into that, then I can look at my phone. And the first thing people will note, and I know you will have a practice as well, you don't want to look at your phone after you've done that.
Absolutely not. I'm trying to actively bar the phone out of my life. I'm like, do I have separate phones, one for work and social media and like an old Nokia for calling people? I'm seriously considering it this year because I just I want to separate that. But I'm the same. I don't want to look at my phone at that time. Then once I've called in all that beautiful, nourishing gratitude,
Yeah, and if it works for people, I love coffee. I love my coffee. Like when I go to bed, I'm thinking about my coffee in the morning. So I habit stack. So I'm not allowed to have my coffee until I do that.
Oh, that's so good. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so I'll feel pretty guilty. Fine. I can't look at myself if I'm having that coffee and I haven't done it.
Yeah, good.
So that's what I'd recommend.
So take the time. It's your 5 minutes or your 10 minutes in the morning to set up your day in whatever way it's going to be. Audrey, I've loved this conversation. I've loved it so much. We've a tradition on the podcast. We finish it out with a couple of questions from Live Wild. So are you ready for your Live Wild quickfire round?
Oh my God, I love quickfire rounds. Go for it.
Okay. Do you believe in magic?
100%.
If you were to distill yourself down to an essence, what would that essence be?
An essence. Just earth.
Oh my God, I love that. No one's ever said that. Beautiful. What would be your mantra?
My mantra. You don't have to have it all figured out.
Love it. And what's the one thing you do every day that helps you live wild and free? I
just massively have appreciation for just being able to breathe and move every single day. That's what I practice every single day. When I wake up and I put my feet in the ground and I look out the window, I just practice every day and I say to myself, God, you're so lucky, Odds. You're awake, you're alive and you're breathing. And that's it. I just feel it in my body. That's it.
Love it. Love it. Audrey, you've been so much fun. Thank you so much. You're so informative about sound. I know we could have talked even more about sound and maybe we might come out and do it. And, I'm going to link some of your sound baths in the show notes so people can find you there.
Brilliant.
And I highly recommend to any listeners to get to one of Audrey's sound baths, whether it's at Nourish and Flow this year or wherever it might be, because it's just beautiful and well worth experiencing.
Oh, I've loved this so much. I just laugh and I snort so much. So I'm sure the listeners will be snorting along there as well.
That's your sound bath.
That can be ASMR. Hilary, it's been a joy. Isn't that the magic? When you leave an experiences and you've more energy.
Yes.
Than you started. That's what the magic is, Hilary. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Live Wild. If you enjoyed our conversation, make sure to follow the show and share it with someone who might need it today. And if you'd like to go deeper, you'll find all my work for now on Instagram at @TheHilaryRose and on my LinkedIn page, with links to both in the show notes, from keynote speaking and corporate facilitation to one-to-one consultations. You can also find details on upcoming events, workshops, and everything happening in the Live Wild community. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional, medical, or therapeutic advice. Thank you for being part of this community. Stay curious, stay courageous, and as always, live wild.